I always say that the history of our non-Western art is often the history of sadness. Here is an illustration done in the 17th century of the city of Benin, a really beautiful and powerful city in present-day Nigeria. When the British tried to expand their trade in the 19th century, the Benin people killed some of their envoys because they had basically violated some of Benin's territory. So in 1897, the British sent an armed expedition which captured the king of Benin, destroyed his palace, and took, under the pretext of covering for the cost of the expedition, away large quantities of sculpture and regalia, including works in wood, ivory, and especially brass. It's really such a sad state of affairs. This is an amazing print work, basically, that then helps us get an idea of what his palace could have looked like. Because it was destroyed, because artifacts were stolen away, we can see basically remnants of the building in the background. Here's a picture, of course, with all of the British looking very proud of themselves, with a picture of the palace in the background and all of the artifacts, the amazing works of bronze and ivory that you can see in the foreground and the background. It's really heartbreaking. But what is cool is that this picture then gives us a little bit more information about what that palace structure could have looked like. If you guys can see, there's definitely an image of a snake or something kind of on the roof line coming down, which would of course be symbolic to the people of the time. I want to talk a little bit about the symbols of the King of Benin because we've already looked in our class at how important kingship is in certain communities in Africa. We looked at some of the regalia, like the staff that they might hold or the crown that they might wear. And let's look for a second at some of the symbols connected with the Benin king. He is called an Oba in their particular dialect. And of course, like many of the kings, his kingship is connected with being divine. Here we see some symbols. In particular, we see a kind of fish, what's called a mudfish. It's a fish that's great because it hops in and out of the water and is kind of at home on land as it is well in the water, and is seen as being a symbol of how the king also rules over those two domains. We also see pictures of coral beads. They are considered to be part of his wealth and power, and they're really amazing symbols that come again from the sea. And they suggest, in fact, his control over those regions that with trade, and just part of his royal symbolism of being in power and control of the land and the sea. Lastly, we see an image of a leopard. Leopard skins, in particular, are the real right of the king to wear or to sit upon. The leopard is considered an animal that's both fierce and powerful, as well as being kind of stealthy and patient. The leopard was revered because it's demonstrating a kind of balance between these opposing forces. And this would, of course, be a trait considered essential to every king's success. So these three things are very common and frequently represented in art of the king or around the king, as we have mentioned before in this class.